What is going on, Jerome's? Kirk Jerome, Ezekiel Cousins had a career year last season under first-year head coach Kevin O'Connell. All of the wins, won the division, game-winning drives, all that stuff. The victory ice, Kirko chains. That's right, man. But it does appear from Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi and ownership's comments that this is the last dance with Kirk Cousins. And you know what? I'm perfectly fine with it. Where the Vikings should and could look into the draft for the quarterback of the future. And also this week, the rumors of trading for Trey Lance do make sense. But the whole thing is, I would feel fine rolling with Kirk this year, even if the Vikings make a move and draft a quarterback high this season, or if they trade for Trey Lance, even though, yes, he's in year 3 of his rookie deal. I'd be fine with that. But what if the Niners can't wait until free agency next year to acquire Kirk Cousins? Like, what if they need him now? And it's feasible, but the Vikings would have to wait 5 weeks. They'd have to wait until June 1st to make it make sense salary cap-wise. And, I mean, this could be done where maybe Kwesi and John Lynch, who go way back like chiropractic, they have a deal where it's like, hey, trade us Trey Lance and a bunch of draft picks. We'll give you something nominal in return. And then after June 1st, we'll trade you Kirk Cousins, sort of deal. Now, the league may frown upon it, but stranger things have certainly happened because there are some complications in trading Kirk before June 1st. So Kirk's revised deal, $10 million base salary, $20 million roster bonus, 2 more void years added, 4 total, which doesn't really matter unless he resigns, because if the contract voids, all of that money comes dead in 2024, $28.5 million, which is fine. It's something that clearly Kwesi and Brzezinski have budgeted for, where taking on that 28.5 in 2024, if Kirk is not on the team, is fine if you have your starting quarterback on his rookie deal, which would be the case if you traded for Trey Lance, he'd be in year 4, or if you had a rookie drafted this year. So that seems to be the plan. But if they traded him pre-June 1st, which would not make sense. Like, the only places that Kirk would be traded to, because he does have a no-trade clause, but conceivably would be the Niners, maybe outside chance of the Jets if things fall apart with Rodgers. But I think that Kwesi and John Lynch have enough trust in each other where they could make this work, where even though Kirk would be missing some OTAs with the Niners, he would be there for minicamp, etc. If traded post June 1st. But if traded pre-June 1st, that $28.5 million void years dead cap from next year accelerates onto this year's books, which would put the Vikings about $17 million over the salary cap. Now, they could absorb it if they traded Dalvin, traded Za'Darius, redid Brian O'Neill, extended Hawkinson, lowered his number from his $9 million and change 5th-year option. So, I mean, they could do it, but that's not what they plan to do, right? But $10 million in his base salary would come off the books, but overall he would have $38.7 million dead cap number in 2023, which would be untenable. Now, if they traded him post June 1st, that does open up the books for next year. So he'd have $10 million in base salary savings, which, again, one of the reasons why trading for Kirk would be enticing for a team like the Niners, where they're close. I think Kirk would put them over the top. That he'd only cost them $10 million on top of their salary cap this year, sure. And he would leave behind a $10.25 million dead cap in 2023, and then the $28.25 void dead cap would remain in 2024, which the Vikings have already budgeted for. So it'd be a spot where I don't think that Kirk will be traded, but if it's a spot where the Niners do give up on Trey Lance, the Vikings are interested in Trey Lance as the quarterback of the future, but the Niners demand Kirk Cousins, it would have to be a gentleman's agreement, wink nudge sort of deal, where it's like, hey, you give us Trey Lance, you give us the picks in this year's draft, and then we'll trade you Kirk after June 1st. There'd have to be a lot of trust there. Because that thing certainly could go sideways. But I do see a world where if the Vikings trade for Trey Lance, say a mid-round pick, that they have both of them on the roster. And obviously, if they draft a quarterback this year, I don't know, absent getting Bryce Young, maybe C.J. Stroud, having Kirk on the roster as well to be that mentor does make sense. So it's a moot point. I think that if the Vikings do trade Kirk, it's to one team and one team only, basically, with the Niners, and trading him pre-June 1st wouldn't make a lot of sense financially. So I'm sure they could work something out. But that's it. The problem with trading Kirk pre-June 1st. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.